All right, everybody. You asked us to do Jenny and Screech a long time ago. We reacted to Jenny and Screech. Our stuff broke. Our audio was completely destroyed. I don't even know what happened to the video.
It was awful.
Bad things happened. But we waited 4 months,
At least
5 months.
It's been months.
It's probably like close to half a year now since we first watched it. So this is not our first reaction. This is our second time watching it. We agreed not to watch it again since the first time so that we could come into it as fresh as can be for it being our second. So we're going to review Jenny and Screech, The Tale of Jenny and Screech by Ren, from beginning to end, all three parts. We're going to talk about it in the middle. Anyway, here we go. This is it. I'm excited. Chase was just like, let's do it. And I was like, let's do it. And he's like, let's do it. And so we're doing it.
Let's do it. Before he starts, I am getting goosebumps already just like remembering how much this impacted. And it's like going back to the start of our Ren journey.
Yeah. Well, since you did pause it, I'll just pipe in here. One of the things that Ren does really, really well is the use of sets. Already, we got this great like alleyway set, lots of graffiti, really ready to set up the story of Screech. So, I'm getting excited.
This is Jenny.
Yeah, that's her problem.
It was a quiet, dark night in an empty street, somewhere in London City. Jenny walked alone, she was dragging her feet, she was heading back home to sleep. Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, because she walked it about 1,000 times before she wanted to escape. Can you blame? Well, on the very same night, in a different place, there walked this hooded young youth by the name of James. He was 14 years old and out of his brain, he'd been smoking ganja with the boys. James, he grew up to be a kid of the street. His mates called him Screech, he was quick on his feet. He was a liar, a thief, at 14 years old, the devil had set his sights on his soul. As Jenny walked home all alone, she felt scared. Usually she was alright, but it was like there was something in the air. A divine intervention telling her to beware, maybe intuition bugging her and making her so scared. Sirens sound in the distance at the beat of Jenny's feet. A symphony of the night that echoes crime on London streets. Jenny turns a corner, their eyes they meet. Up or go Jenny, a boy named Screech. Give me all your money, bitch, give it to me. If you cooperate, then you'll soon be free. I want your purse, your phone, don't fucking look at me. I mean it, bitch, are you listening to me? Jenny freezes statue like a lady.
You've read several Brandon Sanderson books. You've read the Stormlight Archive, yeah?
Most of it.
Okay.
Some of it. I don't know if
You
it's
know
most of it.
the one character who shows up in like lots of the different books?
Yes. Wit.
Wit.
Yes.
He is Wit.
No, that's what I said in the...
Is that what you said?
When we did this the first time, that's exactly what I said.
Is that
I
what
said
you said?
he's Wit.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I think we had that
missed
same conversation.
I missed it.
Chase totally forgot.
Forgot.
He's also been hitting the ganja, I think, too. So in preparation to get ready to be Screech. Yes, no, he is Wit, and that's what I'm saying is like Ren has this great. If you guys know what we're talking about, in the Stormlight Archives, that's the name of the series
Yes.
by Brandon Sanderson. There's a character who uses storytelling and music and a little bit of magic.
He uses some magic to conjure up like visuals too.
Right. And he mixes those things together to just suck you into a story, to just make you feel everything in it and see and experience it. And I have never seen anything like that until we encountered Ren. And I think it was this song when I first made that connection, which Chase is making again today.
Particularly feels like that because he's telling a story and he doesn't have to tell you about the setting. He's not bothering with the setting.
Right.
He's walking down the street that Jenny's gone down 1,000 times before.
Right.
He's walking in the streets. Because he's there, he no longer has to set up the location.
And one of the cool things, so we were listening to some other music last week that had very I want to say there was a lot of contrast in the songs. It was like this type of song, this type of song, this type of song, this type, like 4 types of songs.
Yes.
Mashed into one. And normally when there is some contrast in a song, it enhances a song. It's really good for a song. However, the song that we were listening to last week, I was like, the contrast is too like disparate that it feels like they glued.
It's almost dissonant.
Yeah, like they glued different songs together and tried to just call it a song. And it was more of like a non-matching medley, like just a poorly done medley. But Ren, on the other hand, he is able to just take you between, you have these 2 characters and you get to be like right there inside each one's head, back and forth in an instant. It's like watching a film where you're from one character's point of view to another character's point of view, and it just is so instantaneous. But he does it by changing the music, changing the vocal quality, changing the dynamics and the speed and the color and the timbre and like all these things.
But also changing his expression.
And the expressions. Yes, the expressions. And not just his facial expressions, but the way that he moves his hands, the way that he moves his body, right? Like she's just walking. It's like, hey, give me your money, you know? And it's, you just like, whoa, okay, we're in another character's head here, but we haven't left the story. And that's what's so good, because he can bring all these like so different things. Jenny and Screech, so different. So different. Girl walking home, you know, like, you know, whatever, and like crazy bad criminal kid, like very different, but they can work together in this story. And he just like, each time it doesn't like reset you, like, oh, it pulls you in deeper and deeper until you're lost in the story. And the only reason that we're not like sucked into it right now is because Chase puts the pause button, which he's going to remedy
in a moment. I like his clothing choice too. His clothing choice looks like something that Screech might actually be wearing, with his gloves just cut off, like they're not even actually covering his hands. It's like he cut the top off a mitten. He's got this kind of grungy old jacket that, if you're trying to hide drugs falling all over your clothes from your parents, you would wear a big old jacket like that and then pull it off and like shake it out, you know. But he's
you seem to know a lot about that.
I had friends. But he's depicting who Screech might be. And then particularly where we stopped right now, is I want your purse, your phone, don't look at me, right? That, where you can see the crazy in his eyes. Yeah. And it's like, whoa, back off.
Right.
You feel freaked out, the way Jenny would feel freaked out if you were in her position. And it's so beautifully done there.
Oh, man. That's good.
Oh.
Look at me, I mean it, bitch. Are you listening to me? Jenny freezes statue like a lady shakes stalactite. Feel like liquid nitrogen in the dark night. She tried to find strength to move, but stayed as still as a statue in high-heeled shoes. What the hell you playing at? You playing games with me? I swear to fucking God, I'll slice the rosy off your cheeks. You think I don't mean it, girl? You don't know me. The last thing you see will be a boy code. Screech reached with the sheath of the blade, with the teeth that could bite through steel and slice concrete, and he swung possessed with the devil in his chest, and the statue she was turned to butter in her breath. It was...
That extended pause. Take a breath. Realize the impact of the words he just said. That statue was so still, but he took that steel, and turned the statue into butter. And you have to take a moment to recognize, oh, what just happened there? So he lets you have a moment. Time out, let me take a breath. Think about it. You'll realize what just took place. And then we can move on again.
So, I was feeling creeped out when like he's coming at you as Screech, you know? Like coming in, like getting closer to the camera, all these things. His voice, his mannerisms, the music, it was crazy. Like, you feel that. Like, it's not just like, oh, yeah, cool movie, man. It's like, you get sucked into that, and you're like, what do I do? His lyrics, they remind me of Longfellow. They remind me of Longfellow. Especially just, like, when he's talking about, like, the night, like...
I'm going to back up to that so we can hear those lines.
Yeah, just this whole sequence, the way that it's kind of a little bit longer form, you know. It's fairly descriptive, but it's not like overly descriptive, but it gives you a little extra impact. It just reminds me of Longfellow, like something you might see just from any of his poems. I mean, like for all you Brits out there, you know, our American poem, you know, Paul Revere's Ride, you know, The Landlord's Tale, conveniently called, actually. Anyway, but he is He's as good a lyricist as the classics. I'll give him that.
I don't mean it, go. You don't know me. The last thing you see will be a boy code. Screech reached with the sheath of the blade, with the teeth that could bite through steel and slice concrete. And he swung possessed with the devil in his chest, and the statue she was turned to butter in her breath. It was a quiet, dark night in an empty street somewhere in London City. Jenny lay still on the cold concrete. She's found somewhere to sleep. Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, 'cause she'd walked.
That set was so perfectly used. I completely missed that on the first
Yes,
go through,
the
but that
girl on the
girl on
swing.
the swing that pulls into the set right after
Yep.
it's depicting, yes, what you thought when you took the breath, yes, she is dead. She is sleeping. She is now bleeding on the ground.
Well, and it's like this
And
sense
then
of
there's the little girl.
the sense of like gloominess, right? But if you notice on the door too, there's like hearts everywhere. It's like what? But then it's just the contrast of, you know, just having a good night on the town to now I'm like dying on the floor, on the ground. You know, it's like
Well, I mean, we just backed up 5 seconds, and you can see it's like stopped right at where that is going to be.
right. That was intentional.
That was very intentional. And then I love how this, when he gets back to this verse, he just goes right back to the start, circles it all back together, ties it all up in a nice, pretty bow, even though we know this video is going to keep going because there are 3 parts. He does such a good job of it. Just the technical skills, the little things that make it like from, oh, it's a nice 90% good to all the way there. He's nailing each and every one of them in this. And this song in particular, or not this song, but this whole series of songs in particular, I feel really emphasizes his bardic style
Yes.
better than anything else.
I agree. This was one of the songs that just totally, I would say, like just grabbed me and pulled me into the Ren verse, whatever you want to call it, the Ren rabbit hole. You know, just amazing. And where he says like she found a place to sleep, it's just like,
Just tear my heart out.
Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, 'cause she'd walked it about 1,000 times before. I guess that she escaped. It's such a shame.
You want to say anything before we go into this tale of Screech?
oh man. I mean,
That
the
was
other thing
Jenny.
he just said, I guess she escaped, you know, because it says, you know, she's looking for an escape, whatever. Just let me breathe a little bit, but go ahead, hit play. Amazing.
Our story, it starts right at the end. At the life of poor Jenny, clocked out like Big Ben. Dear Screech, dear boy, where did he go? He melted into the black night just like snow. Patrick, man, let me in, please open the door. I think I fucked up, Patrick, really fucked up, man, I'm not sure. I got crazy, left this lady lying still on the floor. I think I killed her, Patrick, come on, man, I can't knock no more.
Oh, you just feel the crazy the entire way.
So the thing with the knocking,
On the guitar, yeah.
so it's like, this is what we were talking about with combining the storytelling with the music here. So there's like 2 elements there. One is like the beating of his heart from being stressed out, and one is pounding on the door. But they're both happening and they're both frantic, and it's like boom, 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 help me out here, help me out. Like I did a bad thing. and you just like it makes you feel that. You know,
Well,
they say
the
when
camera moving around him so fast adds to that too.
yeah, and they say when like when they make movie trailers, the objective with like the music and the pacing and all that stuff is to like get people's heart racing to match kind of the pace of the movie, and that's supposed to like help them feel more emotionally invested in the film. He's using that same thing here to get you to feel that frantic ickiness that Screech is feeling, that panic, that sense of like just impending doom, and this like, where do I go? What can I do? I have totally messed up. Just, dude, man, what a masterclass in storytelling. Absolutely.
Still on the floor, I think I killed a Patrick. Come on, man, I can't knock no more. But Screech kept on knocking till his knuckles became sore. But there's no sign of Patrick down at number 54. No refuge for our villain, for the bitter hands of fate, with something far more sinister in mind that does away. Hey, babe, you in? Nah, nothing really. I'm just a bit tired. Listen, can I swing around yours for a few moments? I just really miss you, babe. What the fuck do you mean you're busy? You fucking bitch! For fuck's sakes!
Again, the storytelling, the panic, the absolute crazed nature of the mental state that Screech has to be in. The breathing that was so loud into the microphone.
Right in.
You can't help but be like, oh, I feel that. You feel the...
You do it. You feel cold.
Yes, you feel cold. You feel the hairs stand up on your arms. And you're just like, oh, Screech, what are you doing? He calls his girlfriend, says, can I come over for a minute? Just swing by. And you're like, oh, girl, for your sake, say no. But man, Screech also needs you. Oh, what a mess. Wow. Storytelling, just amazing.
Siren sounds approaching like a banshee in the night. The shrill cry of justice cutting like the sharpest knife. But Screech was never one to run, not one to miss a fight. One hand upon his blade, he turned to face the blue lights. Come on then, you fucking cunts, let's fucking have you then. I am Screech, I'm the boss, I'm the ender of men. You think that uniform you're wearing means that you own these streets? These are my fucking streets, and they call me fucking Screech. Richard was an officer who stood at 6 foot 3, working London on the night shift, what he didn't think he'd see.
Alright,
So I'm just thinking of like all the people living in this area. They're just like
What
trying to
is
sleep.
happening?
It's like 11 p.m. Like, what's going on out there? I say, good chap, or however you guys talk over there. I don't know how it works.
It's just, it's wild. It's nuts. It's like Screech. Like, I'm not going to back down from the fight. How do I get out of this? I'll make it worse.
That's a good solution. Good solution. Life skills.
Fucking streets, and they call me fucking Screech. Richard was an officer who stood at 6 foot 3, working London on the night shift, what he didn't think he'd see was a boy running at him like an animal possessed. With no time to hesitate, he fired 4 bullets at Screech's chest.
There are a few peaks in this whole tale of Jenny and Screech, and that is obviously one of them.
Yes.
That is the one that cemented me as like, Ren's camera work is unbelievable. But I've actually noticed this one started out said a Sam and Ren film.
Yes.
So all of the ones that have had the camera work that made me just go, wow, were all those Sam and Ren films.
Yeah.
So I think Sam has a lot to do with that.
This showed me that when I first saw this, I was blown away by this. This just showed me like a new level of creativity with music. Utilizing the camera, like we are the camera, right? Like we're the camera in this situation, which means that we're Screech in this situation. Mm-hmm. And the way that he uses his guitar and the camera work together, like I wish I had words. I want to like say something really smart right now. I want to be like, oh, I mean, it's very fancy and blah, 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 blah. And the hypotenuse of the triangle, but it's just absolutely amazing and creative, and I just don't have the right words to describe what this is.
I love when he has the guitar pointed at the camera, right?
Yeah.
And he's strumming those dead notes because he's holding the strings down, so it just makes a thunk, thunk. But it's not like a gunshot. It's not strong and bang and impactful like that. It's much more subtle. It's much more subdued, which leaves you with like a wait. Did that just happen to me? And a second one. Oh, this is the end.
Which also kind of lends that lends a little something to what he's talking about with the Screech being crazed, right?
Yeah.
He's just going at him like an animal
possessed.
like tunnel vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's you don't hear everything happening as it is in real time. You hear this muted sense because you're just crazy. You're just so focused, and so it's doom, and there's a little shaking, but it's not over yet. And doom, and that's the other thing. With shooting, and I know a lot of people especially outside of the United States, don't do a lot of shooting. But when you shoot at somebody, it's not when you shoot at things. I haven't shot a lot at somebody's, but when you're shooting,
none particularly.
It's not a lot of bah, 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 because it's really hard to stay super accurate with that unless you train that a lot. And so to stay accurate, there is a little bit of pausing there. It's bah, 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 bah. And so these pauses in here, as for someone who shoots, it almost has more effect than if it was just bah, 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 bah. Especially since he's portraying a trained police officer.
Yeah.
Right? Whose job is to also not shoot randomly into the streets, but to actually hit their target. So there's a little something extra there for if you shoot and you're oh no, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and I think the exaggerated pause between each one, I think it's a little bit longer than what your trained shooters are going to be taking the pauses in. But if you're in Screech's mind at that point, that just goes into further emphasize the wait, did that just happen to me? And then bam, again.
Right, you're catching up.
Yes.
Because they even all right, Lord of the Rings, right? The end of the Fellowship of the Ring, where Boromir's getting shot with the arrows. They slow that down a little bit, he's fighting, and then just and then he fights again normal speed, and then and then it's that. Man, what a great film. This is a great film. They're all great films. Not all the films, the ones I mentioned.
Our story, it ends right at the start. Young Screech and poor Jenny lying one street apart. An officer shaken by the boy that he claimed. Two bodies lay lifeless, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame.
So, and he's so good at his fade outs. The chord that he finishes on, it kind of leaves me feeling unresolved. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It leaves me feeling that was a shame. I'm gonna walk around with that sitting in my chest for a little bit.
Yeah.
As opposed to great story. It's now I'm going to carry that story around. Now I have to think about that. Now I have to feel that.
And he makes you think about the officer who's the one who has to deal with the living fallout.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to go out and shoot someone today,
And there's going to be mental damage done when you shoot someone down who's crazed and trying to kill you.
Well, and
it's a
kid.
14-year-old kid. Right.
And especially he's 6'3", he's a big dude. So this kid is going to look even more like a kid to someone that size. It's he's a kid.
Yeah.
It's man.
Now the story of Violet.
This is just one of the craziest songs.
I love his guitar work leading into each song. Mm-hmm. So like I talked a lot about that the first time we watched this, but I haven't talked about it much on this one.
You guys didn't get to hear that part.
Yeah. This one particularly, he hits the low notes almost like an impending doom, like something negative is going to happen, but then you hear the and it's, oh, we're in a hopeful moment. But there's something dark occurring here. This is not as light a scene as would first be depicted. And I know what they're going to talk about at this point, but I talked about this the first time too, that there's a darkness behind a bright scene. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to talk about it again, where it was hopeful, it was nice, it changed. There's something dark happening. Then you can feel the speed up when that starts taking place. It's like, oh, there's not just something dark, there's something dark with an element of crazy. Just like in the last two songs, there's going to be an element of crazy in here. And then he comes down the guitar, but he doesn't stay within the same nicely harmonizing key. He changes it to something that emphasizes that crazy. A couple of dissonant notes in there, and pulls it back up to the end of the guitar neck there. But it's still it's fast, it's crazy. Your heartbeat wants to jump up with this music, despite not hearing the story that's around it.
Yeah, it tells the story before his words tell the story.
Yes, which this is also a good masterclass in why they use sound effects like background music in movies to elicit specific emotions, because regardless of what's showing on the screen, they can elicit those emotions from you purely with the song. And that's what Ren just did at the beginning of this. Just as an intro, a little primer for what's about to happen.
Yeah. Talk about the crazy man.
He looks almost like he's mystified by what's around him, like, oh, I've never seen this before, and terrified at the same time.
Yeah.
London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. Rhythmic beeps and bloodstains, she saw a lady weep. She's tired and frail. To set the scene, we must rewind the hands of time for Violet's tale.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, man. That.
Let's just rewind, and y'all get to hear the rewind. Yeah, that was cool.
This is next level storytelling. This is so beyond anything. This is just I've never seen anything like this. If you know anybody on Earth that does things like this, like Ren does, please tell me, because I think this is one of the coolest displays of music and storytelling
and creativity.
It's just so good.
Violet was a silent girl, grew up with violent starts. Her mother was a drinker and her father was a bastard. Every night he took her tie but never left the room. I'll spare you with the things he did, I'm sure her mother knew. Violet was a silent girl, she moved out at 16. A semi-detached council flat, paid for by a welfare scheme. Packing shelves at Tesco, stacking jars like pickled bricks. She met a boy named Stevie and he was a little prick. Violet was a silent girl and Violet she fell fast. See, Stevie was the wrong un, but he sure knew how to charm her. Every night he took her tight, but never left the room. History repeats itself, he'd paint her black and blue and dark.
Jeez. Such a...
I forgot about this part.
I did too. That part hits hard.
So I work in the mental health care field, actually, for a trauma therapy clinic. And this is, yes, this is a fictional story, but this is some people's real story, you know? And, sorry, I'm just like,
It may be a fictional story, but it's the echoes of reality, or the taking it from reality that makes it hit so hard.
people go through things like this, and some things much, much worse. Mm-hmm. And so, like, when, you know, we watch it and he gives us the creeps, for lack of a better way to say that. He gives us the creeps, and he makes us feel icky, because he wants us to get some of that experience, or rather he wants us to, like, understand that experience so we can participate in the story to some degree without having to go through that. And man, it's just, it's, this kind of stuff is real, and it's not, I hate to just say it's not good, you know, but like, it's not good. One of the things that he says in here that really stood out to me was he said he'd paint her black and blue, which obviously, like, we're talking about, like, hitting her or whatever.
Physical violence, yeah.
And dark. And, like, the dark, you know, if we're talking just like the physical violence, the black and blue, you know, dark is already assumed. That's the color of bruises. Bruises are dark colored, right? But he's taking it a step further. He's saying, like, it's not just physical abuse, it's emotional abuse. And when you look at something like this in this context, you have, like, he talks about the history repeating itself. So this is, like, gotta be really triggering stuff. You know, it's not just like a bad relationship or something. This is like, let me make you relive your childhood trauma again and again every day, and even add, like, more violence, more trauma on top of it. And so the feelings, the darkness, it grows and grows and grows, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
He'd paint her black and blue and dark. She never stood a chance. The devil.
Ooh, the camera looking up the stairway into the darkness. It's like, I can climb as much as I want, but that's what awaits me.
Yeah, it almost has that creepiness from like the movie The Secret of Nim. You know, there's like this place that, like, it's so dreaded, so horrible. But here it's so much more adult themed.
Yeah.
You know, and just like that's where I have to go. That's where I live. That's where I sleep. But man, what a hell that is. Just to go to sleep, I have to go through hell.
Never stood a chance. The devil comes to dance. Violet, why are you always so quiet? On her bedroom door, and he's irate. He's been drinking and smoking, he's up late. And he stands by her bedside, she shakes, but her eyes stay shut. You fucking slut, I know you're up. And he pinches her eyelids and folds them up. Violet, why are you lying to me, Violet? She stays silent, things turn violent.
Did you see the movie,
Silence of the Lambs?
No. Oh. No, oh, that's a face. The movie that just came out, the human trafficking one.
Sound of Freedom?
Sound of Freedom.
Haven't.
You haven't seen. Okay, there's a scene in that movie. So in making that movie, they did a very good job. They tried very hard to make sure that none of the child actors knew what they were acting. They were like, this is the emotion we need you to make. Just make that emotion. They were never telling them. They kept the kids far away from actually hearing about all the traumatic things that the movie was hinting towards, not depicting. There was one scene in the movie that was very, very stark and very strong. A young guy walks into the room drunk, and the girl is like, she's cowering and shaking, like just sitting next to the head of the bed table there, where she's realizing what's about to happen to her, right? That was the one scene where the child knew what the goings on were. They had brought in a different person to work with the child, and that person hadn't been briefed on not telling the kids about what's going on. And so she told the kid what you're supposed to be acting out. So when you saw that scene, if anyone's seen The Sound of Freedom, you'll know the scene I'm talking about, where the girl is just cowering on the bed, and you'd think it was just like an Oscar-winning acting performance. No, that was a child being absolutely terrified just by the description of what she was supposed to be acting like was about to happen. Not the actual goings on. So if you imagine someone who's gone through this her entire life, who had it as a child, and now her new boyfriend is doing this to her. When he walks into the room, she's shaking and he freaks out on her. Yeah, that's what would happen. And I think the best depiction I've seen of that in media is that one very brief scene in The Sound of Freedom.
You're up, and he pinches her eyelids and folds them up. Violet, why are you lying to me, Violet? She stays silent, things turn violent. That's the sound of his fists when they fall like a crashing pilot. Hit like hailstones, one to the collarbone, full force, full blown, blood's black bone, crack, knick, knack, paddywhack, one to the jaw and the tooth spat, detached fist connects and disconnects a bone. A quick deflect to misdirect the blow, but nonetheless his punches met her throat. Such a mess he's left her bruised and broke. Violet, why you always so silent, Violet? Why you such a little liar, Violet? Do you think I want to do this, Violet? In character, she stays silent. Well, say something, Violet. Silence. Fucking say something, Violet. Silence. Wait. Say something, Violet. Not one word. She stays quiet. London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. The doctor, in a state of shock, saw something here so very wrong. See, Violet, she was pregnant. Poor Violet, she was 9 months gone. Turning to the doctor, Violet broke her silence and she cried, if I'm to die right here tonight, please let my baby stay alive. The doctor soon regained composure, called the surgeon to come in. As Violet's world turned to black, the curtains closed, the lights went dim. In London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington just lost the fight to stay alive. A tragedy or a miracle, it happened on these very streets. Two twins are lying side by side. A girl named Jenny and a boy named Screech.
I remembered that it hit hard, but I forgot quite how hard it hits.
I forgot about the build up in the third verse.
I did too. I remembered the drop of the information that Violet was their mother. I knew that the whole time. I knew that they were twins. And I forgot about how poetically he put together the end of the second song and the end of the third song, where they're both lying there together in the beginning and in the end. And that's why Screech ended up on the streets. That's why Jenny ended up walking through such dangerous areas 1,000 times. But how are they to know that they were twins?
Like Leia and Luke, you know,
yeah.
just make out and you don't even know you're twins. What do you say to something like this? I mean, this one, the artistry is what is the point of even talking about something like this? It's done so perfectly well. The crazy that he puts in it, the lack of balance that he puts in it, it tells the story, like, from everything, from the way his like music plays, to the way his face is, to the way his body moves, to the scenes around him, and like you feel it, and then his words, like, they just claw at your soul. You know, it's like the doctor had to, he regained his composure and went to get the surgeon. You know, and
He
you
saw
see
something very wrong.
You know, you see this beautiful portrayal of a mother's love, right? It's like, well, maybe you can't save me, but you could save my baby. You know, please save my baby. You know, and it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm reminded of a little bit of some of the music in Les Mis, how some of the starting to slow down to speak parts are incorporated with the music. But these depictions are just absolutely world class. Like, this is the masterclass in creative musical storytelling, hands down, period. Like, if anybody wants to learn any kind of creative musical storytelling, watch this over and over again, because you'll either learn how to do it really well, or you'll be traumatized enough to become an artist. So
there's a knowing the end makes the guitar at the beginning make sense. I'm just going to point back to the guitar at the beginning, where it's a beautiful moment. It's the birth of these children, but that heavy note that keeps hitting, that's dissonant, that doesn't match, dong, dong, you can feel that there is an impending doom. And he paints that portrayal. It's something that's not going to matter, that you're not going to understand unless you go back and listen to it a second time. Or if by some miracle, after that, 6 minutes of incredible storytelling, you can put your mind back and think about the way he started, more likely you're going to watch it a second time and be like, oh, his guitar makes sense there. But it does. His guitar makes sense. It's not just a song that he puts together for the sake of having something to rhyme to. It's not a beat. He doesn't just set an automatic beat and hit go and start rapping. No, he was extremely deliberate.
Yeah, very intentional about it.
About every detail. And that's so much what I appreciate about Ren. Yeah. There's nothing that he ignores. There's no detail that he overlooks. I guarantee you, he watches back these videos and goes, that's not the right jacket for this scene. I need to do it all over again. And goes and puts on the right jacket. Because in the first Jenny's story, he's wearing the red jacket, which is a red jacket, which makes sense. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of something Screech would wear. In the second scene, he's wearing the blue jacket. Mm-hmm. Because he still needs to depict Screech. But at the end, he needs to depict the officer in blue. Every detail, nothing is overlooked. And it is so incredible to me when people put that much effort, the blood, the sweat, the tears, and the talent that has to come into it to make something like this. This is something to behold. This is something that everyone should see. Maybe once they're old enough.
Yeah, it's like watching an R-rated movie, like being told by a storyteller,
Yes.
There are not a lot of things that can just completely blow me away the second time. I have a feeling this will completely blow me away the third time too. I have nothing else to say to this. It's perfection. It's creative perfection, and it touches up all the heartstrings. It tells a story of both tragedy and hope, and then plays it back in reverse again. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. It's truly, truly amazing. Ren is, and with Sam, his cameraman, two of the best artists ever. Not just right now, ever. I'm surprised he's not the most famous person in the world because of this video. It's incredible. That's all I have to say. I got nothing else to add. Props, congratulations, and thank you.
If you enjoyed this reaction, Go watch our reaction to Money Game Part 3. That's going to pop up right here. That was also just incredible. Another Salmon Ren film that is just amazing.
And let us know your other recommendations, okay? If you know some really great music that touched you in the same way that this touched you, or maybe a little bit differently, let us know what it is in the comments. We read those, and we like to react to the songs that you give us rather than just searching like lame songs on the trending list just because they're trending. We want good music. So point us in the right direction and keep an eye out for those reactions. So subscribe, and we'll see you guys over there.
Man, that song hits hard.
It's crazy, man.